You guys, did I not call the ending of the canceled podcast being yesterday? Like, I posted my weekly TEACAP and I was like, watch them post the last episode today as I'm literally saying, where is the last episode? But yes, Tana and Brooke have posted the final episode of the canceled podcast. They talked about past dramas, things they regret, also their friendship and how they're doing right now. We're going to get into everything that they had to say because this was a big episode. It was over 3 hours long, you guys, and I watched every bit of it, and we're gonna break it all down. This episode was an emotional one for the girls as they both broke down a couple times over the podcast coming to an end, but overall they felt it was the best that they were ending the podcast on a high note. Since it was announced the podcast was ending, there was a lot of speculation of whether or not it was because the girls actually hated each other and weren't friends in real life, which they claimed to not be the case. But it does seem that the podcast did affect their friendship as they fought on tour about creative stuff and more, and they were open about that in this episode. But wanted to say that with the show coming to an end, they've been able to actually just be normal friends with each other instead of having to keep up this worky business relationship that kind of ripped them apart. And it's made the ending of the canceled podcast bittersweet.
Genuinely eating me alive. About like, this just has to end because I hate what it's doing to us. I hate what's happening on the internet. I don't resonate with certain things anymore and whatever. And I was so convinced that on this day, and in the end, I would show up and fucking pop a bottle and a firecracker and fireworks. And I'd be like, finally. And like, what, you know what I mean? Like there were points where I was 100% sure that was what my energy was going to be today. And then today has come and I could not feel more different than that. Like, yeah, I wish I could go tell that girl like that you're not going to feel like that at all. Like these past few weeks have been so interesting too, because it's like, we're not working on anything for canceled. You know, we had a few episodes coming out and stuff, but we finished the tour. And it's almost really interesting to me too, how immediately you and I have reverted back to how we once were.
Like it's almost, it didn't even have to truly end for us to like feel the relief of it. I almost feel like
Tana goes on to say that since knowing the show was ending, they've been able to be normal and just call each other on the phone. And it's been nice to know that they were right to end the show to get their friendship on these good terms again.
And like, we're calling each other and we're having these like 5-hour calls and you're touring houses and we're going together and we're skipping around and we're like, I don't know how to explain that, just all of the strife and everything. Like, it's like, it almost like didn't happen. And it like, we were right. We knew that like having this baby together and trying to agree was like what was hard and putting a strain. And now it's like, I just finally like see without the cloud. Brooke and I were on the phone today, as we do now.
You guys, I don't think you understand. Like when we say, I think we've spoken more in the past like 2 weeks than we have like in the last 2 years.
Because it doesn't feel like we have to call each other and like work out 90 million business things. We get to just be ourselves again. And I don't know, it's just like, it's very nice. But
they basically said that they feel like leaving the podcast is like leaving the casino when you're up. And as they get emotional over the ending, Tana admits that she will never delete the podcast episodes as it's good to have to look back on, which was something that people were worried about because it sounded like in a previous episode, she was contemplating what she was going to do with the future of this YouTube channel. But as for the future, it seems they both have hopes to do their own shows individually. And Tana says that she is excited for that chapter where they can respect each other's creativity and do their own thing and go on each other's shows.
And I like, it's like, even like, I just look back at our old vlogs where you'd come over and we'd like cook something or like whatever. And like, I'm so excited for you to have a show and me to have a show eventually. I'm like, that's so cool too. Like, I'm going on Brooke's podcast today. And then like, I'm going to then the vision, for whatever it is your fucking vision. And I'm obliging and same otherwise. You know what I mean?
This is my show, bitch.
Yes, exactly. But like dead, no. And then like, you'll come on mine and it's the same thing. And there's no having to get to like a common ground. You know what I mean? On like anything. It's about celebrating each other's differences. And that's what made us friends in the first place.
Later, they get into some of the differences that they had doing the podcast. And Tana admitted that she was very hard to work with in the beginning. And it also sounded like that she was admitting that when Brooke's old tweets resurfaced, that was a really huge time where they were not getting along. And the internet had speculated on this.
I was such a full bitch about it. And like, just thinking about in the beginning of Canceled, like how the way I was just not up and I was drunk and I was just like a mess and a horrible business partner. And like, I don't think that we've talked about this, but like I didn't respond to the way that you would kind of come at me for that. So then I would come at you back. But looking back on it now, it's like, it doesn't matter how the wanted to express to you that what you were doing was wrong. It was wrong. And like, she was trying to help make you better. And
I could have eased up on the tone a bit.
No, but like still, like I was an insufferable business partner in the very beginning. And then I think post your tweets resurfacing, you and I had like a lot of, that was kind of like during that time, that was where we really like were just going at it the most, you know what I mean, and not seeing eye to eye. And for some reason, I just had this like dawn on me. Like after you said it, it was like, yeah, Tana, the way that you felt like Brooke was being to you during that time is 1000% your karma for how you were to her in the beginning. Like you were such a bad business partner, Tana. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it all like karmatically now, like just everything, every argument and every like arrow where like one of us was maybe a little off, like it all comes together and it's like a pretty even playing field.
I mean, they said at one point that they really didn't like each other, to the point that Tana was talking about considering having a mediator when they had to have conversations about work.
In the peak of times that, and this was way later down the line, you know what I mean? But when we were like, I think this was post tweets and like just really like, we were really fighting. And there was conversations of you and I, of continuing canceled, but you and I having a mediator to speak in between us. Like if I had something to say, I would tell the mediator, and then the mediator would tell you. And if you had something to say, you would tell the mediator and they would tell me.
What are you talking about? I've never heard that before in my life. Was that your idea?
No, like it was, but it just like, it was
Wait,
only
like
thing
for the episodes or for
just for everything,
life?
Because every time we would have a conversation about business, it would be a blowout.
Oh
or like,
yeah, big summer blowout. Yeah, I get that. Like in just conversations in life, I thought you meant like on the episodes. I'm like, that wouldn't have been anything.
No, imagine they're just in the room. No, like if we had to plan a shoot or anything, like
no. And that time period too was very obvious, I think, to the public also. I think like that was one of the times where I'm like, everyone was pretty much right about like what was going on.
Now, to get into some of the drama that they wanted to discuss in this final episode, Tana said that she regretted the Turks and Caicos episode of the podcast and how she spoke about Ashley, and she ends up talking about Brooke and Ashley's non-existent friendship and the fact that they've never gotten along, and it's acknowledged that they will probably never be friends. And at the same time, Brooke said that the Guess Who game that Ashley gave Tana for her birthday was actually funny, and if she was in Ashley's position, she probably would have done the same thing.
you guys have maybe is irreparable a word?
Irreparable.
But isn't irreparable, doesn't that mean something else?
Like we've done irreparable damage.
Okay, you're right. You and Ashley may have an irreparable dynamic. You know, like you guys may never be friends.
I think she put it better than that. I think it's like, it's not like irreparable because it's like not something that was like broken that needed to be repaired. We just like literally were never close. It's up in the air why she blocked me, but that doesn't matter. Also, I want to go on record and say that photo that she used of me in the Guess Who game is hilarious and I loved it. If full transparency, if the roles were reversed, she would have had a bigger head than that.
I love that everyone can kind of just laugh at that and it wasn't that big of a deal.
As far as regrets go, we also hear Brooke say that she regretted telling the boat story recently on Canceled, where she said that she hired BB to be her assistant while on tour and she wanted to rent a boat and BB did not make that happen for her. It sounded like miscommunication, but when she told the story on Canceled, it kind of seemed like BB maybe wasn't happy about it based on the fact that she was defending herself in some of the comments on TikToks that had reposted this clip. Shortly after this, they were not friends. It's unclear why their friendship ended, but with Brooke saying that she regretted telling this story, maybe this was something that had to do with it.
You want to vent, and like even if you tell a story sometimes in like the most lighthearted way, you don't understand that people are gonna, interpret it however they're gonna interpret it and like, run pretty far with it. I've just experienced it with Boatgate.
Yeah.
And like I shouldn't have told that story because like as funny and lighthearted as I thought it was, it didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I regret that. Like there's been a lot of things like that where I'm like, did you really, like, was it really worth the story?
As far as BB and Brooke's friendship, it seemed Brooke didn't want to detail any more of the drama between them because she skipped over talking about BB entirely when she was asked.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Bringing BB on tour. Sorry, next.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to speak on. Well, it's on some Team Bryce shit. It's not my beef. You know what I mean?
It's not my beef either. I don't even know what it's about.
I saw someone the other day fucking make a TikTok about like all of Tana's friends are so this, that, and the other, and it's like I am making fucking blueberry muffins at home with Ashley, Amari, and Isabella. Who like I have fucking.
As for things she did say though, she did admit that she was affected by the public's reaction to her engagement due to the fact that people have accused her fiance of dating a teenager at one point. She says that it isn't true. She has defended him since the day that this news came out. And on the podcast, Tana actually defended Miles as well.
I was so unwell, like specifically because obviously I just posted that I was engaged and it was not good. But yeah, I feel better. Like,
but I feel like that ended up teaching you a lesson that like the truth and your life and like you know that not everyone needs to see everything and like.
Oh, and just like it sucks because like it was something I wanted so badly and looked forward to my whole life. I allowed to be ruined by people like by just like an imaginary.
And just how much you two had to go through together in this time of like being engaged and like so many things about him being untrue and like you writing for him and like I wonder and I hope that at some point, because I know the like truth and the backstory of that whole situation, I've seen it all with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Which is why even when I get comments, oh my God, you're an apologist and you're this and you're that, I would never, ever allow you or stand by you if I thought you were marrying a person like that or an evil person.
I also just never would.
Now, as for things that I didn't expect to hear in this episode, I did not expect Tana to admit that she was in love with Jake Paul when the Canceled podcast first started. She said that she was saving a lot of this for her book, but she did want to talk about the place that she was in when she first started the Canceled podcast, and that she was in love with Jake Paul, and that her and Brooke would always talk about Jake and that whole situation, and she really loved him, and that for her, he was her first real love.
So in love still with Jake Paul. And like, I never thought I would get over him. And like, that was always our conversations, like off camera, like you, and I've never talked about that like anywhere. And I mean, and it still, it gives me so much anxiety to talk about, and I don't know why, because I don't think I've ever like admitted it on camera, like how madly, and I like literally my heart's racing out of my chest even like saying it right now, because I just keep it like so close to me, and I want to like go into detail about that in the book. But it is weird, like I've never said that, but like you and I talked about it off camera every day for years. Like I was so heartbroken and thought he was the love of my life. And like, you know what I mean? Just like now thinking back that like that was where I was at for years and years, and now where I am, like that's just like so wild.
This is something that the internet has suspected all along. I mean, she was so down bad for him, and it was so clear, like he did not treat her the way that she should have been treated. He was using her for clout, and she never flat out said this, but everyone pretty much put the pieces together of that was what was going on when she was just like so sad and posting videos on the internet still. But it was just crazy for her to be saying all of this. Now, in the end, they talked about some more things that they regret or don't regret, and if they're sorry to anyone that they've talked about, and some of the big ones were Alyssa Violet. They were not sorry, no surprise there. Tana was also not sorry about Zach saying. Brooke said that she was sorry because she felt like he got caught up in the whole Clinton Kane cancellation, but Tana was shutting that down based on what she's heard about him, feeling like he got his karma.
What I'm gonna say my truth, right? At that time, I knew some things about him, and then later on, I found out more things about him, and nothing to do with you, more to do, and we can bleep this, but more to do with like, and maybe he did not deserve what you said to him for those reasons. Maybe he did not deserve the hate for those reasons. Like, do you know what I mean? Like maybe you were angry and you said those things and it could have been said differently or done differently. But if I were to play God and look at the karma of the things after finding out other things that he has done in Hollywood and just with people, the dating world and just different things that he has done, karmatically, he did deserve that, but maybe for other reasons. And that's my takeaway.
Another shocker was Brooke saying that she was sorry to Matt Rife, just that it wasn't that serious of a relationship looking back, but Tana disagreed and felt that he did wrong her. In the end, they close out the podcast by saying that they are friends, they do know each other despite the allegations that they aren't actually friends with each other, and later go on to thank the fans and cry about it being a bittersweet moment that the podcast is actually coming to an end. And they kept saying that they're riding off into the sunset together, and they wish they could tell those girls from episode 1 how things turned out. And I feel like they were maybe not closing the chapter, like for sure, like who knows what could happen in the future was still kind of like dangling in the air. But I guess we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what they do individually, what happens in the future. But that was the official last episode of the Canceled podcast. I certainly want to know what you guys think about this whole situation. Tell me all your thoughts in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.